That was Skills Gap in Manufacturing Sector. Thank you so much. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have seen who's who, what's what happening here in our audience. You really, helped provoke the right questions. Thank you so much for that. And I hope that they can get hold of you as well. Okay, I don't want to waste any more time. We're having our last and final panel discussion. Please don't leave. Please wait for our Achievers Award, which is only going to take an hour. We've got champagne waiting for you. We've got canopiers. We've got biltong, We've got nice things waiting for you. And anyway, if you leave now, you're going to face traffic anyway. So where are you going? Just call your husband, let him make eggs with beans and bread for supper. Call your wife, you'll be sorted. Or invite them to our cocktail. Okay, we're about to have our transport and logistics panel discussion. Can I swiftly call Dr. Nolene Pisa, who is head of department for the Department of Transport and Supply Chain Management at the Johannesburg Business School. Ladies and gentlemen, please calm down. Calm down. Champagne is coming. Can we just have this discussion? And also the College of Business and Economics. So Dr. Nolene Pisa, please come through. Can I please call Noma Dumse from Fleet Operations? She's actually the Fleet Operations Manager at Astron Energy. Oh, yeah. Then can I please call delegates? This side. There's a lot of energy here. Huh? Did you have a lot of coffee? What's going on? Are you okay? Can we please just calm down a little bit as we let us respect our last panelists that are coming up? Delegates Mosalo, who's the Executive Officer at the Road Freight Transport, Education and Training Authority. Tita, thank you, ma'am, for joining us. And then last but not least, can we please call Mr. William Mohale from the Industry Skills Development and Training. He's the Industry Skills Development and Training Manager at the Automotive Industrial Development Corporation. Can you please give them a round of applause? No, like a real round of applause. Thank you. Thank you so much. One thing that I've learned in life, that if you could erase all the mistakes of your past, you would also erase all the wisdom of your present. So it's very important that in our discussions, we really do remember the lessons of the industry and not the disappointments that it comes with. So to our panel members, thank you very much for joining us. I know you all are so busy in your respective roles. Thank you for your time, and I've read through your profiles. You have done impeccable things. So please introduce yourselves, the space you're in, and your contribution to, or rather your thoughts around transport and logistics, the status in Africa and in South Africa as well. I'll start with you, Dr. Nolene.
Thank you. Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As introduced, my name is Nolene Pisa from the University of Johannesburg, Department of Transport and Supply Chain Management. Our department is a critical role player in the transport and logistics training space. We offer a wide range of qualifications, starting from continuing education programs, which include certificates and diplomas, which then feed into advanced diplomas, BTECs, as well as the honors, masters, and all the way to the PhD level.
Sure. Okay. Thank you so much, Nolene. Noma?
Good afternoon, everybody. Again, thank you very much for having us represented so well for this day. I've seen 3 ladies from Astron Energy, and that is a pleasure to have been represented like that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Astron Energy has been explained earlier as a company in the oil and gas. We are now moving towards the energy space, where we say we're not just focusing on oil and gas, but we're looking into energy, and this is our future going forward. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I do. I am responsible for the transportation of fuel. That includes our diesel, petrol, jet fuel, paraffin, lubricants from our lubricants plant to our various customers. Our customers range from the commercial kind of customers, your bus companies, your mining companies, as well as our retail sites. I don't know if you've seen our brand, Caltex brand, is our flagship for the retail sites. That's where we
Okay.
supply our motorists who use our petrol and diesel. Now, the transportation of fuel, it's a completely outsourced model for Astron Energy. You spoke earlier, program director, about how we should focus on our specialities. That can be debatable, but I like that point because it allows us to say why we have an outsourced model. We realize that we're a refining and marketing company. Our core competencies is into refine from crude or from base oil, refine products that we get then marketed into to our customers. Our core business is not to transport. Therefore, we opted to get SMEs
Sure.
who are good in what they do in the transportation of fuel. However, we do realize that we are custodians of the product. We cannot just bring in a transporter to come and transport for us and ignore the requirements that they have to adhere to, like safety, reliability, and cost effectiveness. So we are responsible and accountable to make sure that our transporters are not spilling fuel, are not contaminating fuel, mixing diesel with petrol, are not killing people on our roads. I'm imagining that my colleagues here from Road Transport Safety will probably hold us accountable. So we make sure that our transporters adhere to those requirements. So it is an outsource model. However, we still hold that accountability as a responsible company that want to serve the business sustainably.
Okay. Thank you very much, Norma, for that. Medical lady?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dikeledi Mosalo. I work for the Transport SETA, in short, TITA. My actual role is Executive Officer for the Road Freight Chamber, although we also have 8 subsectors: rail, maritime, aerospace, freight handling, freight forwarding and clearing, road freight, road passenger, and taxi. So we work within that skills development environment within those subsectors. In actual fact, when we want to talk about ourselves as TITA, we say we move South Africa, because everything that moves is from TITA. We offer skills interventions that are different, right from skills programs from the lowest possible level of education, and we also have skills programs and learnerships that we develop with the industry itself, and we also form partnerships with universities like University of Johannesburg and 13 other universities where they also offer the skills that are needed within our industry. We also have partnerships with academies within the workspace, the employers that opened academies. We also support them, all of them, within the training space. We also have skills programs that are very, very specific, but whatever we do, we develop around the needs of the industry. If we have to develop, but otherwise we would also work with those universities to make sure that the skills are available. And indeed, I heard someone asking if it's possible to have the workplace being the training space. That's what we do most of the time. We prefer working with the training, with the employers rather than with training providers. But the training providers are allowed to approach the employers and ask to work with them in the skills development environment. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Mr. Mohale?
Good afternoon to everyone. Thanks for this opportunity to form part of this panel in this day, in this big event. As I'm being introduced, I'm coming from AIDC, Automotive Industry and Development Center. We are a government agent or agency, making sure that which the government would want to see being realized. In terms of skills development and training in this space, we're making sure that it does take place indeed. And we do this jointly with various industries. Number one, we've got actually 3 areas or 4 areas that we're working with or against. One is the TVET sector. We've got what you call the learning center in our area, where we've got it more like a college, but it's a training center, wherein we would look into the students coming from the colleges as well as the lecturers. There has been a serious challenge in there in terms of synergy or cohesion between the college, TVET sector, as well as the industry. During the day, we had engagement where a number of questions were posted also coming from the TVET sector, and I'm sure we'll try in this space to answer them. So the issue of the program offering at the TVET sector vis-a-vis what the employer needs, like BMW, Nissan, Ford, you name it, mismatch there. So what we currently are inundated with or engaged with is to find that, to bridge that gap in order to making sure that there is employability. One. The second one is entrepreneurship being promoted. In the event a student or whoever needs employment doesn't get employed, can venture into employment. And having said that also briefly, is to say that there's no way that a student coming from TVET sector can be declared to be really prepared for employment unless there is an industry against which a student will be put into or for experiential training. So what are we doing, like BMW, Nissan, and other motor industries? We bridge that gap for partnerships and placement of students. Earlier on, there were engagements on the wheel, wherein there should be placement of learners in that space. Not only also do we deal with the students from the TVET sector, but also with the universities, where there is also a need to train the students and place them along that area. I'm sure when we continue, we'll try to elaborate a bit. I'm just, scratching the surface here in terms of time. And the other issue is that we do have the TTC, the Traders Center, where we've got trades against which the industry would say assess our apprenticeship or apprentices against, so that we can maybe articulate later when we continue as well. There are a number of those trades that we're working on. On the one hand, we also got the area or the section that deals with project management, where, for instance, companies like Siemens will approach us and to say, source me capacity for the training of artisans, and they will be clear to say in which trades do they want us to assist them with. And then be it a student at the TVET sector, get them, and then we will take them through to a level of an artisan or technicians or even engineers. And maybe briefly and lastly would be that we also have what you call the township hubs. Currently working with Winterfeld, for those who are familiar with that area in Pretoria. We've got a Winterfeld area. Someone said, how about taking this to the townships? We are doing it. And there's one in Mohali City in Krugersdorp, the Chemdo one. And there also we are working directly with government there in terms, and the community, to then identify community needs and gaps for training purposes. Sure. We have fully sourced that those hubs, they are fully functional. And we are working directly also with the international community, Italy and others as well. If we would have time, we will show you exactly what we're doing. And we are expanding across the board. It's just long and short. I'm sure when we continue, we can expand later.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mohale. I hope you are not doing the incentive in Mohale City because you are Mohale. So please take it to vendor. where they don't know you in case we think it's linked to nepotism. No, I'm just joking. Okay, so I'm gonna change the wheel a little bit. I'm going to actually open it to the floor to ask questions. I've also got some questions of my own, which I will integrate. But let's start with you. The transport sector is very critical, and I think we all are affected by it. So yeah, I'm gonna take questions. I see you. Is there anybody else? How? This side was so energetic. What happened? There were guns and shotguns and laughs and. Okay. Oh, two. Thank you very much. Three. Anybody else? Okay. And four. All right. That's fine. I think maybe let me just push and just ask the first to all of you, and then what I will do as I ask, you don't have to answer immediately. Let's get their questions so that we can integrate it together. So the question that I have for you, Dr. Nolene, is, yeah, no, the question was somewhere here. Eh? It's somewhere here. No, I just write a lot. Okay, so it's in my head. How do you inculcate a culture, or rather a desire within students to study transport and logistics? What are the mechanisms that the university has put in place to make sure that you have more intake in the transport and logistics? So also just give me a feel around student perception around the industry. How are they affected by it? And then to you, Noma, most importantly for me, is then to say, what are the current programs in place, especially within your constituency at Ashton Energy, that are benefiting local communities? So I know you said, Caltex under retail, and then there's also oil and gas segments. Perhaps, I don't know if it's safe to assume that there's a trade part of it under that. But if I am an SMME and I come to Ashton and I strike an agreement to say, I'm actually looking for 500 liters, and I've got this huge contract, are there incentives that exist to assist SMMEs in the sector, other than employment and training? And then to Medigaledi, for me, it's so great to be investing in different sectors of our transport industry. I think it's very important, especially for the history of our country, where we come from. But I need to go deeper into the soft issues that are affecting socio-economic landscapes. And one of them is safety. As you guys assist in structuring some of these industries, is there a space or a constituency within TITA that assists with safety regulations, especially with taxi, also in maritime, because you're dealing with the ocean? So what are the regulations in place that have to do with safety? And then Mr. William Mohale, I know as well the DTI has implemented your automotive incentive scheme. And your automotive incentive scheme is actually saying that we will incentivize or fund SMMEs that are producing manufacturing components, car components. How effective is that? Can you say that we are ready at a production level, looking at the automotive sector? Because you have serious competitors there, your BMW, your Mercedes, etc., etc. There's a man who resides in Nelspruit who produced the car, and unfortunately he received no support at all, So how can we make the incentive more effective and felt, bearing in mind that for a normal guy who is in the township, for him to even produce a car component, that's just another language. So how aligned is the incentive to the local development of our communities? Okay, so that's just to kickstart, to also energize our audience, and then we will take you, ma'am. Yes. Please tell us who you are asking the question to.
My name is Lindiwe. My question is just to the industry, the logistics and transport. I find that most of the time when we talk about the transport industry, we get confined to the road environment. I know the university probably will talk broader on other issues with regards to what is happening in the transport and the logistics. Everywhere you go in the maritime aviation, that's not an environment that has not been transformed. It even makes it difficult for us to access such opportunities in the transport environment. And these are some of the areas that are easily accessible to our people, because some of the skills that are required in there are hands-on, which I believe they are not necessarily that kids need to be in academics. As an example, the automotive industry is available in high schools, in the mechanical engineering, technical high schools. BMW has done the same thing in Gauteng. In KZN, there is Toyota doing similar things at Lynn Park. But you find that when these kids exit the environment, they are not fully exposed to the automotive industry within the transport sector in other fields like the maritime, the aviation, except just to look in the just road transportation.
Sure.
That's my concern. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Number 2? There was a second hand. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
But thank you very much. My name is Deborah Namani. Just as if I'm continuing to what she just said,
Okay.
what is entrepreneurship? An entrepreneur is a non-academic. It's just someone who comes up with an idea or dreams about it and wakes up and starts doing something about it. So they miss out on issues of compliance, that whole process
Sure.
that those who have spoken about training and development keep mentioning. What do we mean in Tatemkhali, for instance, you said, you mentioned 2 things, employability and entrepreneurship. What are we saying? Can we take one person who knows exactly that they want to be in the transport business, but do not understand what business planning is all about, and do not know what compliance means and what steps to actually take to become compliant and be business ready? What are we saying? How far do we go and where do we start? Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Temita Kwai Jaladi from Flipos Express International, actually a logistic company. I want to ask, take for instance, we have a youth who want to delve into logistics in the local area, Shochangugu precisely. And he came up with an idea that the small businesses in those areas are underserved. And he saw an opportunity there, and he decided to dive in. But in the process, the cost of running the business is quite high because of the fuel, the need to get a car or a truck and all that. So we sat down, we looked into that. Then he said there are some products of people he knew that is derived for international markets that he would love to take this product across the border. But he contacted some agencies in other countries, and they told them that the product, actually about a particular guy who designed 8-in-1 microwave, and he wanted to take it to other countries. So based on inquiries, they told him that if you are going to sell this in Kenya, we are going to levy you, we are going to tax you because they do it in South Africa. So I'm asking in this direction about the young entrepreneurs who want to delve into logistics. Is there any platform for them to start seamlessly? Is there any provision in place? Is there any regulation, a softened or a lenient government regulation that supports these young entrepreneurs? Thank you.
Very good question. Thank you for that. Yes, sir?
Yes, my question is going to be short and brief. My question is that my name is Oscar, the company is a trading enterprise. There is this side of industry that is not transformed, mining industry. there's a lot of pie that is there. But the problem, the policies, the red tapes that are there, which is something that some government is speaking, but in that side, we don't see more of a transformation. And many people are living in the area that there's a mines that are there. There's a transportation that is coming there, but many, they got a transport to knock the door to enter in that field. We don't see any transformation.
Okay. Oh, that's all.
Yes, what are we doing about the transformation in the mining industry, in transportation?
Okay, so what are we doing in terms of
Transform the
transformation?
mining industry in transport logistics.
I got you, my brother. Sure. Thanks. Okay, is there anybody else? The guy I previously cut, do you have any question? I'm willing to give you a chance. Okay, no. Anybody else? Okay, fine. So I think Dr. Nolene, we'll start with you.
Okay, thank you for the question. Interestingly enough, we find a lot of uptake and interest in our programs. The university advertises the programs that we offer, and in addition to that, the department has individual efforts where we advertise in newspapers, social media, as well as having career fairs where students from high schools are informed about the various qualifications on offer. Interestingly enough, the trend leans more towards logistics management. We always have an oversubscription of logistics management applicants in comparison to transportation. The reason being that logistics is perceived to be a more thriving industry, and the perception towards transport lends itself to government policy making, which students generally don't find attractive or interested in taking up. With regards to the question on the readiness towards different modes, unfortunately or fortunately, our scope has to be spread out in such a way that we provide a basic theoretic grounding for all modes. However, at postgraduate level, students are able to specialize more in maritime and in aviation. With regards to experience and hands-on work-integrated learning, we are incorporating more and more programs whereby students have vacation work or internships, be it for a month when they are on their winter holidays, to actually go to companies and have some hands-on experience. But unfortunately, there are constraints to the numbers that these companies can take. So such opportunities usually lend themselves up to the top achievers in different programs and not necessarily to all the students.
Okay, thank you for that.
I'm going to start with the question on what programs does Astron Energy embark on to benefit local SMEs. You mentioned specifically in the trading for fuel, other trading opportunities or retail opportunities.
Yeah.
I want to start with one that is close to my heart.
Sure.
In the transportation sector. And I'm thinking when I answer that question, it's going to address some of the questions that came through from the audience. Questions about what we're doing in supporting entrepreneurs, something that we're doing in supporting the transformation agenda, not necessarily for the mines, because remember, if you're asking about the mines, then the mining sector will have to answer that. But I'll talk to what we are doing in supporting the transformation agenda in transport. So you probably would know that government has made it part of legislation that the old industry transform and therefore give business to new entrants, which talks to your entrepreneurs, which talks to your local SMEs. So we have a program where we have identified transporters that are new entrants. Maybe before I get to that, our industry is very intense and heavy in carrying hazardous goods, which could result in, if there's a spill, there's a contamination, there's a huge impact on the environment, and it could be disastrous. So there's a lot of legislation that governs how we operate. Therefore, that made it very difficult for SMEs or for new entrants to venture into the transportation of fuel. Now, to try and to enable the startups or the new entrants to get into the industry, we then had to intervene. So our intervention is then to identify those new entrants, but because of the high level of safety requirements that are set to us by the government, we made sure that we've got somebody who's had some experience. I heard you spoke about entrepreneurs who have an idea. If a person has some experience in transportation of fuel, have a truck or two, transporting diesel, petrol, jet, or all the other kinds of fuel, we then take them up, make sure that they get the proper training to meet the high standards that are required for our transporters to meet. Instead of saying you can't do this because you don't have the capacity, you don't have the skills, we then take you through a training program and a capacity building program. And remember, I mentioned earlier, this is an outsourced model. We don't have trucks that we own. We do that in partnership with our transporters. We do that in partnership with our seaters that are around the country, which provides certain skills. So there is opportunity for the oil industry or for the energy industry to support the transporters. So we've seen that. There's a lot of example. We're currently running a program of 3 new entrants that we are hoping to get them to a level where they are no longer SMEs. They are now a fully fledged generic company. So it's a program that you don't just leave them at having a truck and running fuel. You also get them to have more trucks, have access to business with other oil companies, other customers out there. So there are opportunities out there. If you need to know more about that, visit our stand. I don't know the stand number, but I'm sure it's visible when you go out
1226. Yeah, something like 1226. The 26 part was okay.
Yes, and also to add the point on what opportunities are there for retail, what opportunities are there for trading. We're one of the few, well, I would say most of the companies, because of the government regulation, we have to procure our crude from black-owned companies.
Yes.
That is happening, and then we start with SMEs. So again, for more information, visit our stand.
Sure.
So I'm also going to talk a little bit about what we've seen, and again, I was listening to Dr. next to me talking about there's a lot of interest coming from the youth taking on the studies in logistics, and we're seeing that by a number of people coming to us saying, I'd like to have an access into your opportunities, in the entrepreneurial opportunities within the company. So it's an indication that transportation of, well, logistics is becoming more sexy, if I can use that term that was used earlier.
She's gone.
Which I find very strange because I don't like myself when I've got an overall and hard hat and safety boots, but you've got women. I get very proud when I see women coming to us saying, I would like to be in the transportation of fuel. So we see those calls coming to us, and we've been very, as an industry and as Austrian Energy, we've been very willing to work with the startups or the new entrants in that space.
Thank you very much. Medical lady?
Thank you very much. The first question is the one that you raised around, is there space for safety regulations? Yes, as TITA, we work with all regulatory authorities, state-owned, all of them. Your CAA for the aviation, your SAMSA for the maritime, and all those, SANRAS, all of them. We do work with them. They are our partners to make sure that there is safety either at sea or on air or on the road. So they are our partners. And West Steel, we also work with the taxi councils, who also oversee the safety. And what we don't necessarily have control over, which is now the domain of the Department of Transport, is the portion of the issuing of licenses. We don't do that at all, and as a result, much as we train young people to have their driver's licenses, but at the point of receiving the driver's license, we don't have authority at all. We do have small programs. For instance, if we have interns in our offices, one of the things that we do for them is to make sure that by the time they leave, they have driver's licenses.
Okay.
Now, what we also do, especially in the aviation space, is that we are now upgrading the learners from the bare minimum of their piloting license
Okay.
to now go into commercial piloting,
Sure.
which at some stage we were not even doing. And then maritime, we have all sorts of engineers in the maritime sector. And we also do that training. We also do diving for the maritime. So the safety regulation is covered. We have an instruction also from Parliament to make sure that even if there are those regulations, we have to integrate them into our programs. And as a result, every program that we offer have some safety programs in it to make sure that it's integrated into the offerings that we do. I think I've also, in a way, covered your question, aviation opportunities. Have I? Yes. Okay. Oh, okay. From Department of Transport. We are also invited into that and being given a slot, but that's a story for another day. Now entrepreneurship and compliance. As TITA, we are invited by companies most of the time if I may give an example, SAB, South African breweries, if they want to outsource their trucks, we have what we call an owner-driver program, together with most of the courier services, DHLs, your RTTs.
Okay.
We have that owner-driver program. But now, when it comes to issues of compliance, that's where we'll struggle because now it's outside our scope. For instance, we will train those people to be entrepreneurs, to make sure that they possess all skills, and maybe RTT will say, now we can get you a starter truck, let me put it that way. The next thing, when we go to the credit bureau, the person is now, or we go to criminal investigations, the person doesn't qualify. So most of the training programs we have for entrepreneurs, and such things will always come forward. But we do also ask the companies, if they cannot get those trucks, then they can employ them, which they also do. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Mkhale.
All right. Thank you very much once more. The question you related to earlier on to do with the incentives that we as the center are doing to the employers is not necessarily directly falling within our competency per se.
Okay.
But we are dealing directly with what you call a JEP, Gauteng Enterprise Propeller, wherein we would then identify in the townships, like for instance, I did make mention of 2 hubs that we are currently running at this point in time. What we would do is that we would then finance such hubs or such people who would start their own businesses and would not have machinery or equipment or tools to start up their businesses with. Then we would then identify areas where we need to capacitate them in terms of equipment. So we have done it to the tune of more than 2.5 million to date. By bringing them on board, identifying them, and then equipping them with whatever they need in terms of the tools and the machinery they need to run their businesses with. And in terms of the industries, we've got what you call the CSIs and communities as well. We would have a package wherein, for instance, we can train X number of employees, and then we will package it in terms of the MOUs and SLAs that we have.
Sure.
And for a certain bracket of the number of employees, who would be coming to us for training, then we would exempt them from paying, in terms of our costing model. The other issue is the one that was also posted to me in terms of the entrepreneurship and employability initiatives. I need to also briefly and quickly package it in this fashion, with a background that perhaps I have here from the TVET sector in particular, because that's where we would experience a big challenge in this area. We are inundated with a plethora of such challenges. We would then look into the colleges and the campuses, as most of them are not well equipped, as well as the program offerings, as one of our audience also posted it as a question. With the background that also one has is from the lecturing, as I was there also, and managing the colleges also previously as a principal. The challenge was that one would be inundated with how best then of 30 learners, say, in a classroom, would all be employed or be entrepreneurs. So what we then would do, we will approach companies and then we venture into learnership with them, or vice versa, they come to us. And then we will tailor-make a program that we will offer to them, and with the intent to close what you call skills gap. We do skills gap, matching. We've got what you call job matchmaking portal. And like, for instance, BMW will be approaching us and to say, we need X number of artisans, be it or employees. And we would approach that sector and we'll be saying to them, that is this opportunity at BMW or Nissan or wherever. And then the colleges will then avail such learners to us. And what we'll do, we will tailor-make a gap content-based training for the industries. And once they are trained, then we know that they go directly to the industry. There's one part of it in terms of employability. But in terms of entrepreneurship, like I've touched briefly, is the township hubs that we have. The other one is to also train the unemployed youth, also embarking on a skills gap. So what we do then will be to avail them to our center, or even to go to them, and then we will then find a gap in terms of what is it that they don't have that the employers would need, or vice versa, for them to run their own businesses. The other issue that also we venture into is, for instance, like, I can't stop mentioning BMWs, because these are, we spoke about the big guns or multi companies. What they would do also from us, to us, will be to say, there could be a new plant opened or a new assembly opened. And like you did make mention of ACMA. So, they will also avail such a challenge to us. We'll package such kind of a training for the industry. And then we will close such a gap for them to be trained. The other way around that we also would approach this is what we call embarking on what you call the lay-off scheme. For those who are about to go on pension, or for one reason or the other, the company would want to close that plant or that line. And before they would lay them off through UIF or any other parties for funding, they will approach us. Then they identify the skills gap against which we will also assist them. The other issue is that we are also involved in what you call the WSSA, Well Skills South Africa. We've got a number of youth that we put through already. Like this year, we were also in Devon, also at the finals, wherein we, through our learning center, we had to prepare a number of such students. They, in the past, even competed outside at the international level. We've got the center that we're operating against, like we said, we're specializing also in mechatronics with German Chamber. We've got the equipment, we've got the tools, we've got what it takes to take the country or even the province through that. So we running such learnerships on autotronics and mechatronics and basic hand tools, and you name it. As we say, time is a bit limited to expand on that. So we can really assist mainly in such areas.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Mokhale. I think because of we are out of time, may I just request our panelists to give us final thoughts about, transport logistics. And particularly, I know that, the industry really is expensive to operate in. So, we need as much support as possible. So, in integrating some of these thoughts into your final discussions, maybe just give us one or two solutions or things that we can pragmatically make follow up to. So, any leads for the audience that are here that are in the industry. Doctor, we'll start with you.
Thank you. First of all, I think from an academic institution, we realize more and more the important role that the transport and logistics industry plays to the overall competitiveness of companies and of the country as a whole. And as a result, our research has indicated that the industry has got a huge skills gap. More and more, as we move away from the operational levels, the tactical and strategic levels, companies increasingly find it difficult to fill those positions. And with the advent of the fourth industrial revolution, the demand is increasing. The workforce is required to advance their skills and is required to have more advanced critical thinking and emotional intelligence and all of these other additional soft skills in addition to the hard skills which are already lacking. As an educational institution, we are making strides to try and have an outreach or a higher impact of our education programs. Some of our programs are now online, which implies that students from anywhere in the country, anywhere in the continent can actually complete these qualifications without having to be physically on a campus. And as a result, some of these strides are the key, I think, to ensuring that the industry keeps up to the demands of the ever-changing economic scenario and these technological advancements that are inevitable and we have to keep up with to remain competitive. Thank you.
Okay, that was Dr. Nolene Pisa. Can you please give her a round of applause? Okay, Noma?
At Astron Energy, we realized that our industry is very tough for the local content and for the local SMEs to enter. So what we have done and we continue to do is to work with our new entrant transporters. And I guess the biggest thing for us is we understand that the big transporters have been in the game for a while, so we allow them to do what they do best. Now we have realized that we have an opportunity to change the narrative on the transport sector because we've seen that it does not encourage other people to participate. So to encourage the participation by all, we then embarked in this program. And one of the things that we do in the program is to ensure that we allow those new companies who've got a fresh mind, who've got new ways to do things, to come up with ideas, to share their ideas to us to improve the transport sector. We had one of our new entrant transporters introducing the running of drones to assess the safety of our roads as they get their trucks on the road. These are the things that we're encouraging with our transporters. And one of the ways we support them and we enable them to remain in the business while competing with the big guns, so to speak. We support them financially and we support them, obviously, as I said, by giving them capabilities and skills that will increase their standards and also ensure that they remain safe on their roads. And because safety is one of the licenses to operate. If they are not safe, then that license can be taken away. So we do a lot to work with our transporters to ensure that they remain safe on the roads. So this is one of the ways that Astron Energy can ensure that we play our part in developing skills in the country.
Thank you so much. Give it up for Noma. Thank you very much, Noma. Closing remarks, medical lady? Salo?
In this transport and logistics industry, you will be surprised to hear that the most needed skill is that of driving. Not your car, not your ordinary car, not your minibus, but driving. We having very few people who can drive a truck, with some 28 tires on it. We lack train drivers, we lack pilots, we lack ship captains. those are the people that are needed and are needed in big numbers. So, and when you look at how South Africa perceives transport and opportunities that are in transport, ask any child who wants to go to university, what do you want to do? They'll say, I want to be a doctor, a nurse, you know. They don't even think around the issues of transport. And like I said earlier on, transport moves South Africa. Without transport, there is nothing we can do. So I would like to encourage people to come on to this industry and to also assist to make sure that we all move South Africa forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, Mr. Mukhale, final remarks?
Being inundated with challenges earlier on of coordination of skills development and training in the country or in certain areas, we would want to extend this to our colleagues to say that coming together, this will make a very big difference, and we are one of those centers or service providers that can answer a number of such questions when we work together as a team. We're saying this, looking forward to saying that if TVET colleges, in particular in the country or in this province, can come together like we have done already with MOUs and SLAs, and also niching, like the program director has said earlier on, specializing in certain programs, like for instance in Roslyn or Kempton Park Aviation and so on, wherein we would then draw specialized skills in order to equip students in that area. That will do us best. The other issue that also quickly I want to close up on is the one to say that I'm currently working on the bilaterals also with the government here and others outside in order to place students and lecturers from both the TVET sector and the universities as well. We do make placement there. And with universities and industries out there, before end of this year, it will be to our delight if we can get such universities and students coming out clearly, and even communities and profiling students in the areas that we speak about. We might be packed under this, but I'm sure with program director, they know that we are able to go beyond this in terms of various skills and presentations and acquisitions. So we are open to everyone to come to us from the TVET, from the industry, and from the universities as well. And then in order to find solutions to critical and scarce skills moving forward. Many thanks to this opportunity.
Fantastic. That was our panel, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much to our panelists. That was truly informative, and we truly appreciate it.